This podcast is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
You remember.
Roll your stealth roll?
Game books, pencils, pizza, cheese puffs, and a hell of a lot of dice.
And the Dragon Ball Cup.
Roll for Initiative. This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, where 1E is the place to be.
The Roll for Initiative podcast. This is Volume 6, Issue 183. I'm Vince, sitting alongside Nick.
Hi, everybody.
And Matt.
Hello, everyone.
Alrighty, we're back from a long little break. I mean, a couple things happened here and there. We all had our issues. Matt took a last-minute trip last time we were going to record to Gen Con out of the blue.
Yes, I just
On a whim.
happened to wake up that Sunday, and as my fiance was getting ready for her bridal shower and was going to be gone all day, I'm like, screw it. I'll go to Gen Con for the day. Because they do family passes, too, so... It was like $45. You can get 4 people in. I was going by myself, so it'd been just me paying $45 again, and so I'm like, whatever. So I'm in line, and then there's like 2 people behind me, so I'm just like, ask them, like, so are you guys getting the family pass here? And like, oh, they thought they had to pay like $40 a day person to get in. And oh, yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, that's what the day pass for like on a Saturday or Sunday for Gen Con is. So I'm like, oh, no, you just get the family pass and it gets like 4 people. And I'll tell you what, I'll buy your guys' passes.
What time did you get there?
I got there at 11.
Well, that's not bad.
11:30. Dealer hall opened at 10.
Oh, yeah, shoot.
So wait, you can get the family pass for just, you don't actually have to be family, because you know how they're always like, oh, you have to be family for these things.
4 adults.
Oh, I can't see Gen Con allowing that, man.
Oh, no, it was kind of, it was just like, I read it, and it was just like, it was for $45 for adults. That's the only badge they sell on Sundays. You cannot buy a single day badge for Sunday. So that's why they allow it.
Plus, it's not run by wizards anymore, so of course they're nice.
Oh, that's right. Wizards doesn't, yeah.
Right. So
I wish I had the ability, like Matt, to be like, I'm going to Gen Con.
Yeah. It was like an hour, 45-minute drive from my house. So.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah.
No. So that's why I'm like, that's why being in Cincinnati, I'm like centrally located for Gen Con and Origins.
Yeah.
So if I just on a whim feel like running up for one day, it actually is feasible.
Until 2020 and when they changed the venue, so.
I don't see them changing the venue.
Shut up.
Oh, for Gen Con?
Yeah, 2020 is when the actual venue lease is up, so.
Right.
They'll renew it.
Yeah.
Well, but
Same thing with Origins. They're not moving Origins.
Oh, no. Origins isn't moving. Plus, Gamma's headquartered in Columbus.
Right. So
I can always dream that I cross my fingers and they're like, we'll move it to Texas.
Yeah. Hey, remember back in the day there was a Gen Con South for a while.
Well, there's Gen Con SoCal, and that ran into the problem. Anything that goes on in SoCal is everything's too cool for the people in SoCal to actually do.
So yeah, a bunch of like they say about California, it's like a bowl cereal for fruits, nuts, and flakes.
Yep. So,
and our opinions of this podcast not reflect those of what Nick has just said. Anyway,
it's called sarcasm, people. It's called sarcasm. It's okay. Disclaimer: sarcasm.
Now all the people will be ranting and raving at Nick now. Next show.
I don't care. I don't care.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
That's right. I'm going home.
Did you pick up any gems? Did you find anything good, Matt?
Mostly I just wandered around because the exhibit hall's like 30 aisles of like gaming, and when you're trying to get in all of that in one day, can be a little overwhelming. Not to mention the traffic flow is in spots a little congested, even on Sunday. I only ended up buying one game, and it was I actually had Dent and Ding at Cool Stuff Inc. They marked it down for like $10. It was called...
Now, those are the gems.
Oh, yeah. This one was called Promised Land. It's basically Hebrews versus Hedricks in like a city building, civilization building type game. So so it can play up to like 6 players, and they have like 3 Hebrew leaders and 3 Hedrick leaders like the Assyrians, the Babylonians, and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And you're trying to build up your tribe to be the dominant tribe. And like the Hebrew players are working together, but the game only has an individual winner, so it hits a point where the one tribe will have to double cross the other tribe, even though you kind of have mutual goals. So it looks kind of interesting. And for $10, which actually I bought for $8 after $2 off coupon in the coupon book, it was worth it.
So it's like a Bronze Age version of Risk in a way.
Kind of, yes.
Or
actually,
diplomacy.
Yeah, it is that.
Or I want to say the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I at Gen Con, I went and wore my Bullet Club shirt, so I spent probably more time talking wrestling than I did actually gaming. I'm just walking around and I'm like people going up, too sweet, throwing up the hand sign. Then there was a couple wrestling games there as well. So I'm walking by, they're like, oh, too sweet.
I got a lot of that at when I went to WrestleMania here in Dallas.
Yeah.
I wore my NWO shirt, so I kept getting the too sweet for that all night.
Yeah. I was in Indianapolis at Monument Circle just sitting on the steps there. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just sitting there playing on my phone. And someone walks up to me and goes, too sweet, and then just walks off.
So he too sweet bombed you?
Yes, he too
and
sweet.
You're probably thinking, wow, that was like totally random. Hey.
Right. And it's kind of cool because, well, my one of my really close friends is actually founded the Bullet Club, so it's like, oh, he's over. So it's kind of a kick, like because the shirt was actually like a Christmas gift from him one year for driving him to the airport for his Tokyo Dome show.
Got a question for you now. At the exhibit hall for Gen Con, there's generally that's where most of these game companies and some of the distributors or whatever, they put out everything to look nice, like for as far as their booth setup. Was there any that were like really cool that caught your eye by chance?
There's the booth setup wise, it's getting so packed and crowded that you're not getting the elaborate displays in like the days of yore.
Okay.
It's not cost efficient because booth space at Gen Con costs so much.
Oh, that's true.
You're long gone are the days of like Wizards of the Coast putting up a giant castle.
Yeah.
I mean, Wizards of the Coast.
TSR used to do that back in the day.
Yeah. Wizards of the Coast didn't even have a booth.
What? Really?
Well, yeah, they don't even go to that.
They don't go to Gen
anymore.
Con. And their games are their Dungeons and Dragons games are run by a third party.
Wait, why doesn't Wizards go anymore?
What are they selling that would actually make them money by having a booth?
Magic?
Magic. All their Magic stuff's run by third parties.
D&D?
Third parties. What would they need to sell? What do they have that they could sell direct to consumer that isn't undercutting one of their retail partners?
I don't know. When we went the last time, it was always Neverwinter they were running at the time, but I guess that's really old at this point.
That was the last one, probably the last year they had a big booth.
So they had no presence there except for the third party running the games. That's weird.
Right, yeah. They stopped having a booth for the past few years.
I thought I saw somewhere, might have been on Facebook, or that rumor was going around that Wizards of the Coast was going to like host their own convention. Did any of you guys maybe saw something like that?
They always did that in January, the D&D experience in like Fort Wayne.
The WotCon?
Yeah, they always had like the D&D experience, so I would assume they're still doing that.
Okay.
But yeah,
I thought they might have been considering running something in the summer. I don't know.
Right. But
maybe someone out there on our listenership might know about something like that. They can let us know. Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember on Facebook an article that was going around talking about Pathfinder and how it's kind of in its like twilight days.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. What I just found interesting was the number of staff actually working on D&D, 27.
Huh.
And so that gives you an idea of where they are development wise.
You have to think Pathfinder came out, what, 2008? Right around the time?
I think it was 2010.
Well, no, the beta was out. Let's see. No, 2008 was 4th edition.
'Cause I got
2009
4
was when the
right
beta,
here.
I think, came
Yeah,
out.
because I have the beta book for. No, actually, I have the alpha book. One of the two of them I have for Pathfinder.
Yeah, because they were selling one of the beta. I think the beta book at Gen Con.
2009, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, what 6 years or 7 years are going on now? So yeah, they say, according to what I remember from White Wolf, their Eddie Webb used to say that most games lifespans are 8 to 10 years before they start to recycle stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Because you can only come up with so many expansions, and because otherwise you end up with what happened with Second Edition. Look how long Second Edition was around and how much stuff.
13 years, something like that.
Right, and what did they? And think of the stuff that was released towards the end.
Oh well, Pathfinder right now is if you picked up the core book, you would not be playing anything close to what the game is like now.
Right.
Guarantee. You'd be like lost if you went to like an official event.
Right. It's evolved so much because there's so many other core books. And it really comes down to is what type of gaming experience are you trying to foster? Are you fostering a gaming experience for organized play, or are you fostering a gaming experience for the kitchen table?
Right.
Because the kitchen table player isn't going to buy all the things. They're going to buy a couple books and they're probably going to be done. Unless they get one person that really buys into it.
Well, I got another question for you about Gen Con. Now, did you just stay in the exhibit hall, or did you check out any of the actual gaming going on?
I didn't check out any of the gaming. I spent the entire time in the exhibit hall.
Okay. I was just going to ask a question about as far as like, any like old school D&D gaming going on, or any OSR stuff going on.
Yeah, I really don't know, because also with that day pass, you can't get into any ticketed events.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty much like the Origins Family Day Pass, where you get in and get to wander the exhibit hall. So,
all right, I was just kind of curious how if you saw anything about that.
Right. Yeah, but and as for just old school product wise, it's just seems like I didn't see anything that was really like, ooh, that's newer, creative. I think even with the old school games, we're hitting that point where it's becoming more new iterations as opposed to giant revolutions and new exciting developments. We're getting into that stage of, okay, we're just tweaking things that are already been there as opposed to innovating.
Right.
So, but again, as a game's around for a while, it goes from innovation to iteration, and then that's when you end up usually coming out with a new edition, where like with Paizo and Pathfinder, they're going into space with their sci-fi game.
So they're going like what AD&D second edition went to.
Yeah, they have like a sci-fi game they're coming out with.
Okay.
So that's kind of where they're going with, because we haven't explored this space yet. Padumpa. So, but yeah, it's Gen Con. It's fun, but it's
too crowded.
It's draining.
Yes, it is. Even going one day, I'm like, for the reasons I would usually go, those reasons are dropping because it became a social aspect for me. I made a lot of friends going to Gen Con back when Gen Con was 10,000 people. When it first came into Indy, and there was like a core group of us, and we'd see each other every year, our Gen Con friends, and now they're all dropping off. They're just like, it's not worth the headache to go to Gen Con anymore, to fight for a hotel room, pay even at block price over $200 a night for a room downtown that you probably won't even get. And then you can stay on the outer loop for like 115. The first few years in Indy, I could stay downtown for $50 to $75 a night.
Yeah.
Not anymore. No, we're even close to that.
They jack those prices up purposely. It's just so annoying.
Yeah. Well, when you have 60-some thousand people coming, it's increased sixfold since it first went into Indy, the attendance.
It's jumped up twice the attendance since I've been there in 2011. What was the record this year? 60-something thousand?
The uniques were about level.
Oh, really?
It's just that the people that are going for more days, so the turnstile was up. But the growth, they were adding about 6,000 people every year for a long time. But this year, the unique leveled off, but the turnstile went up because the people that did go were going for more days.
Well, what was the unique level at?
Oh, let me pull that up. It was like 60 plus.
Yeah, okay. So when I went the last time and saw you there, it was like 2011, 12.
Yeah.
And that was just reaching about maybe mid-30s to 40.
Yeah,
Or 60s now?
Yeah, this year it was 201,852 turnstile attendees. So if you go for 4 days, you count 4 times. Yeah. The unique was a flat 60,819, nearly flat. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, almost 50% up. So,
but the 4-day badges went up by 4%. So you're not getting more people are going all 4 days as opposed to coming for 2 days or whatever. So
yeah, they're taking off, going on Thursdays, and
there's people that get there on Tuesdays now.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, it's the way to do it.
I did the same thing with Origins. I actually go on Wednesday now. They technically start on Wednesdays.
Right. Well, at Gen Con, the downtown restaurants like Scotty's and the Ram, they have gaming on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And Wednesday. So there are some people even get there Monday.
Some people, they just take the whole darn week. You know, that's their summer vacation.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to remember when it was. But when Origins expanded it to an extra day, it was always Thursday through Sunday. Then they added Wednesday, and you're like, "Ooh, okay." So,
right. Albeit they had some kinks this year with the Wednesday, big thanks to a computer system crash Origins did.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
the line stretched all the way to Terre Haute.
Yes, and then they had events starting at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
that just seemed like a bad idea to begin with.
Yeah, and there was quite a few people that were late for events. I actually, heard the cursing in the line of people like that. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, and looking at it, there was actually 16,500 different events at Gen Con, ticketed events.
Oh my God.
So it still has a little something for everything. The old school presence isn't quite what it is at like an Origins. Just like Origins to me seems like it skews a little older because it also has more of that historical miniature war game.
Yeah, that tends to tends to go to that sort of crowd.
Right.
Was there still a Renaissance booth there at Gen Con, or is that long gone? There used to be an old school Renaissance booth there.
I don't remember seeing it.
I don't. Yeah, it's probably long gone.
Yeah. I know it's just so hard if you're not one of the big giant booths to even get a booth at Gen Con, even if because I remember GM Dave talking about it from the
Order 66.
The Order 66 podcast, because they had a booth a few years for their company when they were making games, and he explained the process of, for a company their size, just like a small little group, to try to get a booth at Gen Con, it was insane. Basically, you have how you do the mad rush for the events, they have to do that to get a booth, even though they've already been there. They can't. Only the big boys get their spots every year because they've had enough. They have some weird point system to guarantee them a spot every year. Everyone else, it's markup city.
Of course.
So, and the thing is, they still sell out, so they can get away with it. Mm-hmm. It's not like I remember Origins a few years in like the late 2000s. There'd be empty spaces.
Yeah, you're right, and I think they still have that in Origins to where that what they used to have for empty spaces now.
Like the family area.
Yeah, they filled that with they basically incorporated the exhibit hall with all the artists in the one hall now.
Yeah, because the artists used to be across from the exhibit hall.
Right. Now they're all in one hall.
Right. I mean, and also the exhibit hall seems smaller from when I first started going to Origins back in like around 2003. It just feels like it's smaller, but I don't know if that's also part just my perception because Gen Con's grown so much.
Yeah, I don't think it's really gotten it's gotten any smaller. It's the same size, and there just might be a little less stuff here and there, which I'm cool with.
Right. I actually like it more because you see the boost that you're not going to see at Gen Con at Origins now.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily feel all too congested at like a giant con like Gen Con.
Right. So, but yeah, it's if you've never been, go at least once and figure out if it's your thing. But it just feels like it's Gen Con's devolving into like more of the pop culture than con. And I think that's part of the growth of it, is the pop culture cons with your Wizards Worlds and all of that has made going to cons a thing.
Mm-hmm. It has.
So, and Gen Con's benefited from that because unlike Origins, which is heavy gaming, Gen Con had a little bit of everything else too. And that's what I think helped it grow the most.
Gen Con sounds like it's almost morphing into something like San Diego Comic-Con in a way.
Well, there's a lot of cosplayers there now, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have the big anime track and they do big cosplay contest and all that. This year they moved all the anime and True Dungeon to Lucas Oil Stadium. So they were actually using part of the stadium now. And,
wow.
And because they were just running out of space for all the events and everything else. So they're like, let's start using the stadium because there actually is an underground tunnel that connects the convention center to Lucas Oil. So you could just take that underground tunnel that goes under a few streets and go there. And they actually had arcade games lining that long corridor. So you could sit there and just play arcade games.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, and they had them set to like a quarter.
Oh, okay.
So you could play your quarter arcade games there, too.
Get your 8-bit fix right there.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that was pretty much my Gen Con experience, just walking around getting too sweeted too much as I tried to look at games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, I guess before we move on, just want to let everybody know that we have a new sponsor. Our new sponsor is called OpenGamingStore.com. So the Open Gaming Store is run by John Rice, and he's the same guy who created D20PFSRD.com. And sales from that store supports the Pathfinder SRD website as well as, many other SRD websites. So, for every $20 in your order, you get a free PDF form from D20PFSRD.com publishing. If you're a backer to John's Patreon or at any level, you could get 10% off all your orders. So, take some time, check out OpenGamingStore.com and help us support Open Gaming. So that's our new sponsor, OpenGamingStore.com.
Yeah, John's a good guy, and he's got a good thing going there, and he's trying to help out all the gamers out there. So check out OpenStoreGaming.com before. Right, we'll pause the show right now and wait. Did you check it out?
You
Good,
better.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's head into DM rules.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but I have a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
So the DM rules this week, we got our show notes this week for DM rules and creature feature from DM Lloyd in the OSR Gaming forums. Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Yeah, he sent some nice emails, and I shouldn't say emails, some nice private messages, and he's like, hey, I have an idea for the show. What do you guys think about doing this or that? I'm like, okay, cool. So if any of y'all out there want to write show notes or give us some ideas for shows, feel free to hit us up in the forums or rfistaff@gmail.com, or you can even give us a phone call voicemail, 570-865-4210, the hotline, where we will answer your questions or you give us show notes. But this week we're going to talk about the uses of poison for good characters. If you grab your player's handbook and you flip open to page 107, that's the original handbook. I don't know about the updated one because I didn't take a peek to see if it was a different page. There is a paragraph on there about poisons, and it says widespread use of the poisons is highly undesirable in any event. So if you take a further look into this, it says the DM will establish sanctions regarding the use of poisons, and a good alignment character cannot use such substance as it constitutes foul and unfair practice. So, let's explore that for a few minutes in your game. Now, Nick, you have a current game going on right now, right?
Yes, I do. The Castle Greyhawk campaign. That's correct.
So what do you think about your characters using poisons? Good characters using poisons in the game. Good alignment. Neutral, not evil, but good.
But good characters. Well, let's kind of look at this. Well, you're obviously talking about something that could be a moral conundrum for a character. Or, there could be something looking at an entire society, whatever your fantasy society has, how they, I guess, view poisons and then their use. I guess for me, it hasn't come up yet about using poisons, about like a thief, or if even a non-thief, maybe a fighter just dipping his blade in some poison or arrows or what have you. I haven't had it happen yet, but I guess my philosophy, my belief is in that the poison in itself is not evil. It's, I guess, the intended use could be intended to be evil. So I guess I'm looking at it as intent of use. So
yeah, that's what we're looking at. It is for intent of use for good characters.
And in that case, I don't necessarily think it would be a no-no for a bad character. And that might blow everybody's mind. But the only little caveat to that would be is if, a character may be dependent on where they come from, or the obvious one, a character class, i.e. Paladin. And I believe Cavalier falls into this category too, where they, the use of poisons is strictly forbidden. It's verboten.
Right, because they have like a code of honor where it's
they have a moral code to follow.
Right. For me, it's along the lines of the taboo against using the poisons comes more from that moral. It's dishonorable. I will besmirch the reputation of my family lineage by using poison when I should be doing combat one-on-one in battle, because poison is for the weak.
Right. Also, I look at it as intent. I mean, here's all I'm also looking at it. If the poisons themselves were actually evil, then why are there, animals that have stats in D&D that have poison as part of their characteristics, and they're not evil. They're neutral. They're just animals. So for me, it's intent. If a character is going to use poison, just throwing this out as an example too, for like a self-preservation sort of thing, if they were in a situation where there is like no other way out instead of maybe poisoning the monster that they're up against, I'm okay with that. Yeah. If they're up against insurmountable odds. I mean, kudos to them for, finding a way to get out of a situation. But if its intent of use is like to, assassinate somebody by slipping them something in their food or drink, but even then again...
Is it for the good of the people, or is it not?
Exactly. is this for the greater good?
Right.
Is this like you're going to, dispose of this, evil dictator king so the people can be free? Or is it like you're just trying to kill off the bartender so you can sneak in at night and clean out his stash of gold and what have you?
I
guess end intent for me.
Yeah.
The intent there, I kind of relate it. Sometimes it's maybe not so good example, but the only example I can think of is if you go hunting for an animal, and normal people go hunting, which is not exactly fair because people are like, oh, bolt action rifle was fair for hunting, but it doesn't really fair for the animal. But I don't care. It's like going hunting because okay, you're supposed to do it this way, but instead you decide, I'll bring a semi-automatic.
Yeah,
you're right.
Or fishing with dynamite.
Yeah, bring my AR-15 to peg that deer down. It's just, no.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. That's how I equate it to sometimes.
You could almost take it to the extreme about nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
The weapon in itself is not evil. It's the intent of use.
Right.
At least in my view.
Yeah, the intent of use also will the benefit of this outweigh the benefit of that, too, in this situation.
Yeah. Right. Will the use of this particular weapon either be a poison or, fill in the blank here?
Am I going to drop a bomb on World War II? Am I going to drop a bomb on Hitler and Germany because they're trying to exterminate the world? Is that a good use?
Yeah, I would say so.
I would say so, too.
Yeah.
But some people may think it's not a good use.
Right.
Right. I mean, there was that whole... that's a good real-world example is like when some people have... the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, a lot of people said that was morally and ethically wrong to do. But weighing in all the what we know of the war, even at that time, when they were going to go ahead with either that or invade the Japanese mainland, which would have caused incredibly a lot more casualties, that's how you got to weigh it out. It's which is better, which is going to bring the end to the war. Is this for the greater good?
With also in regards to the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, we also told them in advance we are going to be doing
this.
Yes. So we gave the opportunity for them to escape the wrath of that. Going back into the game terms, though, what is the difference between taking an arrow, dipping it in poison, or lighting your arrow on fire?
Not really much.
No, but one is okay, would be okay for your good characters, and the other's not. Why?
Right.
Well,
that's the thing.
So long as you're using that arrow to kill, I would say monsters, it should be fine either way, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, that and for me that is the main thing. It's more of is if I tell you before I stab you with my poison blade, my blade has poison and I'm going to now engage you in combat. Is that okay then? What is it about the poison that makes it unusable, immoral? What is that? Is it because the person doesn't know it's poison? So if you warn them it's poison, is that acceptable? Why is poison considered taboo?
Or another example that Lloyd threw in here, talking about spells like Cloud Kill. Magic user, I'll throw in the example because he didn't put in a good aligned magic user. We'll say neutral good or chaotic good, doesn't really matter, but it's just good.
Sure, it's good aligned. Yeah,
and he casts Cloud Kill on a cave of goblins, for example. Goblins are threat. Goblins are evil. Okay, boom, they all die. Does he become an evil character? No.
No.
That same mage decides he's going to go to a tavern and just Cloud Kill the tavern. Yeah, that would probably give him a little bit of an evil.
Right.
As it goes back to intent of use. Right. And some people might hate to use this example, but it goes back to use of guns as well. I mean, it's intent of use.
I mean, I think the poison this poison rider was put in just because if you didn't put that in, everyone would have every weapon they ever have dipped in poison.
Well, he also gives
more for game balance.
And there's that other great example that he got out of the DMG, the one magic item, the Dagger of Venom, or that. No, it's in the Unearthed Arcana. Sorry.
kind of, yeah.
It's a dagger of venom. Okay, you know, is the user going to turn evil because they're using this dagger?
If they're using it on people purposely to kill them, yeah.
Right.
But here's the thing: they would turn evil if they used a non-poison weapon to do the same thing.
Right. Exactly. Intent of use. There you go. What is the intent of the person doing it? And well, I guess you could also weigh in overall outcome. If it's not death, I mean, if you look at a larger level, like I was talking about the evil dictator king, you know, what's the outcome of this?
Right.
What's going to lead to down the road?
But also look and depend on if you play deities in your game. Does a deity look down upon this? You have to go into that whole moral.
Yeah,
right. It
that's
really
true.
comes down to it's really a moral code if you have this in your game. I mean, my opinion was thrown in for game balance because then you might as well add a poison rider to every weapon because you know your players will do that.
Well,
So
I think where you could kind of balance this, if you allow characters to use poison, you know, with the exceptions, you know, the asterisk next to paladin and cavalier, and maybe some other morally coded class, like, you know, maybe something with clerics, you know, just throwing that in there as well. I think a balance to that would be the Assassin's Guild and maybe to a lesser extent the Thieves Guild.
yeah.
Because if you're using if you're using poisons, and either one of those guilds, more likely the Assassin's Guild, if they get wind of it, if you're using it in their quote unquote jurisdiction in a city or a town or what have you, they're going to have a word with you. And if not, you're going to be, you know, found with your throat slit in the middle of the night.
Right.
So
Yeah, because I could see them being like the mafia when it comes to the dealing of poison.
totally
only-
like Mafia.
Yeah, only approved poisons can be used in this area, and you're using an unapproved poison. So that means you need to make a little donation to the group.
That's right. You've been really good to the family.
Right.
You're using these poisons around here.
You are using our poison, but you're not part of our group. And if you kill someone with that poison, they may start blaming our group when it's not us. We
That
can't
would
be
be
happy.
very bad for business.
Yeah, so I could see keeping the use of poisons in check via that way.
I think that's somewhat of a foil to that. I mean, when you're out in a dungeon, in my opinion, do whatever the hell you need to do to get through the dungeon, man.
Oh, yeah, of course.
right.
If you're going to run a herd of goats through there on fire so you can clear it out, do it. I think I just gave an idea to somebody out there.
Yes.
Flaming goats through the dungeon. I'm going to do it.
So you
But
take
yeah,
you rope
Thanks,
the torches to the horns,
no problem.
and charge forward.
There you go. Send flaming livestock through the dungeon.
Then you get the Assassin's Guild. That use of fire has been restricted in the area, so
Yes.
Then you'd say, oh, come on, guys. Really? Fire now.
And then you get into the turf war between the Thieves
gee.
Guild and the Assassins Guild.
Yeah, there you go.
Over the use of the poisons and
never once, Nick. Every time you were in Waterdeep, did you ever come over and have coffee and cake with my family?
I am entirely sorry. I beg for your forgiveness. I will kiss the ring upon your finger. I will bring a nice gift to you. I will bring the head. I will never once have I dishonored you. I will bring you the head of Drizzt.
How dare you on the day of my daughter's wedding?
How dare you? How dare you on the day of my daughter's wedding?
Yeah.
I want the head of Mordekainen.
oh god,
Wow, that's a big.
yeah,
that's a big, big hit there, huh? But yeah, that's a real good point about, you might inadvertently start a turf war between the Thieves and Assassins Guild, and I can see when both of them find out, like, wait a minute, it wasn't you? No, it wasn't us. Wasn't you? No.
So, all right, let's pose this thing. Okay, Nick, you're playing your character, Matt, the DM, Matt.
Yeah.
And you have Matt's character is a, let's say, lawful good cleric.
Okay.
Now let's go neutral good. So there's not the major moral dilemma. You're a neutral good cleric. You're in your inn. You're sleeping at night. You happen to have a poison dagger of venom, magic weapon. And the thief breaks into your room at night, who happens to be, we'll say it's a chaotic, neutral, leaning towards good thief. And he's just in there. He's not in there to kill you. He's in there to rob you. But in the middle of the night, he accidentally makes too much noise because he's a klutzy thief. Mm-hmm. And he wakes you up. I mean, your only weapon at the time of your reach is a dagger of venom. Do you use that weapon to kill him because you think maybe he's there to kill you? And is that part of the whole dilemma?
Who says I have to kill him? I can just stab him, wound him, have him go down from the poison, secure him, then heal him.
Well, the other way around, but...
Right.
Matt,
I would say, yeah, if I kill him, I kill him. If I felt like my life was threatened in this particular place, then if I have to kill him to preserve my own life, then yes, I would.
So, all right. So you stab him with the dagger of venom. He gets poisoned. He's slowly dying. You turn on you put on your torch or your lantern. You find out it's a young kid. He had no weapons on him. He was just looking to steal from you for food. What now?
He shouldn't have.
Yeah, Matt.
Yeah. Well, at this point, we're getting into the killing baby kobolds conundrum.
Yeah.
And then you get into, you're putting people in uncomfortable moral situations, but is it really making for a good game? And
is it?
Some people may enjoy that. I prefer my more lighthearted fantasy tromps that don't pose deep-seating moral questions. So that's why I tend to, when it comes to the poisons, be a little more like, meh.
Or as an evil DM that I am, I'd have at that particular moment the ruckus woke up the constable who happened to be in the next room, who busts through the door and sees the guy on the ground dying with your dagger in your hand. And Nick goes, "No!"
Yeah, I'd chuck it out the window. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Nothing to see here.
You forgot to yell, "He's coming right for me," and then it would have been okay.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming right for us. I don't know. Like, if it was finally revealed, because it was dark and you finally get some light on the situation, and it was some like 10-year-old kid trying to, steal something, help feed his family, and he's slowly dying, then I would I would heal him, because you have to take in consideration the situation at that very moment.
Yeah.
So
a DM could really screw
right.
Up.
Now, it's not going to mean that that person did an evil act, because he didn't know who that person was. It was dark. I could use that in my defense, Judge.
Yeah, if you want to go into the whole political end of everything and moral end of everything like that deep. But yeah, I think that's how they would handle that situation. So I don't think there's much more we can really say about this. Anything else you can...
I can't really think of anything else. I mean, just to reiterate, at least I think all of us have come to the agreement that it's the intent of use, what it comes down to there. I don't know if there's any other sort of any place else where we haven't covered, where it might be a conundrum.
No, I think this rule is interpreted based on the intent of use of the poison for good characters. Mm-hmm. If they're going to run around and kill monsters with poison, I see no problem with that. Right. If they're going to grab that poison dagger on purpose to kill another humanoid type NPC, maybe, depending on the situation, how it might be used, might be an undesirable effect towards the end, but every character has their right to do what they want.
Right. That's right. And to go along with that, what we were saying before, maybe a counterbalance to that, so everybody won't go, stabbing everybody in the back willy-nilly with poison daggers, is your Assassin's Guild and or the Thieves Guild. If they get wind of sort of this situations, they might come on calling on you, and make things really hard for you and the whole party that you're with. So,
alrighty. Cool. Tell us what you think, actually. I want to hear what people out there think. rfistaff@gmail.com, 570-865-4210, and tell us how poison would work in your campaign with good characters. And then You know, I was just thinking, Nick, that next month is going to mark another year for this podcast being around.
Yes.
September 2009 is when, 2009 is when we first started our first show.
Get out of town.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I came on in December.
Yeah, you came in shortly after.
Yeah, just a few months after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So what, 7 years almost?
Yeah.
No kidding. The actual anniversary is next month.
Yeah, if
Well,
you
I
look in
guess
of our shows, and I could probably just look real quick while I'm ad-libbing with you guys, but I think, the calendar's not here, of course, but we used to have one on the site. Matt, how far does our show go back? September 2009?
Yes, September 2009. I came along in the show, it would have been the August of 2010. It was after Gen Con 2010 when I actually met you and Jason at the RFI meet and greet that happened to be in the lobby of the hotel I was staying at.
Yeah, because that's right, because Jason says, hey, we got Matt here. He's going to do our editing for us. We're going to rope him in and be our sucker. I was like, what? Yes. And you're like,
wow.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we described. He's going to be our sucker. And Matt's like, hey, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, the joys of audio editing. It's like, the non-glorious end of podcasting, especially back in the day.
I'm actually looking at it. I see December 6, 2009 as our first show, but I remember us being in September, though. I think when we updated the site, the date became wrong.
Right, because, there was, like, hosting changes and, like, there was a site reboot or something. And
yeah, because I remember we were doing it for September and October, and then we kind of went on a little hiatus because Jason and I had some scheduling problems, and then we came back in 2010 for our sixth show, and I think Nick jumped in around then. So, meh. So let's head over into the feature now for our last segment for tonight.
This podcast is brought to you in part by a not very generous grant from Lesser Gnome, publisher of quality role-playing games since last year. Gnomes value high-minded programming just like you. Learn more at their website, www.lessergnome.com.
Are you enjoying the show you're listening to right now? Want to help support the show? Why not head over to the Patreon site, patreon.com/WGP. That's patreon.com/WGP. And help support the network for as little as $1.50 a month. That's right, $1.50 a month goes a long way. Thank you.
Are you saying that I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5-foot long gorilla?
Creature Feature Theater.
It's alive! It's alive!
And now we are in the creature feature, and we are going to be dusting off the wonderful Monster Manual 2 for this one.
Monster Manual 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes, and we're actually going into some creatures. Well, a creature that is from one of the para-elemental planes. The para-elemental plane of air. This is the wonderful combination planes where you get like you take your earth and you take your air and you mix it together and you get the plane of smoke and all of that kind of fun stuff. So
is this creature? It says para-elemental plane of air.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So would that be the para-elemental plane of steam, or this thing we're going to talk about is at?
I mean, when you see this, I think it would be more because, well, let's just get into what the creature is.
Yeah.
It is the Mitsu. It is
the Mitsu.
Yes. Normally found on the para-elemental plane of air, they're sometimes found in cool, damp places with little or no sunlight. They're basically swirling clouds of mist that can go through small cracks. And since they're from the para-elemental plane of air, they can contort their body to be pretty much whatever they want. And when it attacks you like your stereotypical creepy anime villain with tentacles. That will come out with like sharp razor-like talons, And then it also falls in the wonderful line of creatures that like to hug you to death, because it'll try to envelop your body and then proceed to suck the constitution from you. But, yes. So, and if you reach 0 constitution, of course you're dead. But at least this, you get 1 point of constitution back per day of rest. So it's not like some of the more permanent life-draining constitution or attribute sucking. It can only be harmed by +2 magic weapons. Not your +1 little magic sword. No, needs +2. We need the good stuff. Immune to electric and missile attacks. Even magic missile. Cold-based attacks only stun them. They're also solitary, thankfully, because I can only imagine if you came across a family of creatures that wanted to hug you to death. They will also assume a ghostly form to scare away people, so they'll be like, boo, leave me alone before they hug you.
Nice.
However, they may perform powerful tasks for magic users in exchange for substantial payment of powerful magic items. So apparently they like hoarding magic items as well, but they're air. I don't understand why they would want them. How do they use them? Do they grab them with their tentacles?
I would think so.
I would too. I mean, they are rather intelligent, as in they're high intelligence. So it's
sure.
So they can. I can see them having like an organizational structure and a society and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, their treasure type is I.
Yeah. What?
Which I believe in the DMG. Is that the DMG or the back of the monster manual?
Yeah.
I think that's heavy magic. That's a heavy magic treasure type.
Right. So, with this creature, it's how would you want to incorporate this in a game if you didn't go along the lines of, a powerful magic user is bartering with this to get it to do something. I could see it being actually kind of a useful assassin if you wanted to go that route. A wizard needs someone whacked, so they summon one of these. Hey, I'll give you all this magic item. You go kill this person. They go through like a crack in your window and just hug you while you sleep, and you die.
Wow. Actually, that's a real good way of using this thing.
Yeah. I've
it's
always
10% magic resistance for this thing, by the way.
Right. And considering you need your +2 weapons, this is going to be...
And it's immune to magic missile.
Yes.
Let that sink into everybody out there. It's immune to magic missile.
Yep.
It's like usually every magic user out there has that memorized. Either not once or several times. Or at least once in a while, you're going to have a party with one of wand of magic missiles, and you're going to try to use that on a Mitsu. Forget it; it's going to go right through it. It's not going to care.
Right, and also it is 8-hit dice +2.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you figure out, okay, magic missile doesn't work, we need the really, really good magic weapons. It's still going to take a while to whittle it down.
You could hope to fireball it.
Yeah, fireball.
But then again, you got 2 levels of... You got magic resistance and its saving throw.
Right.
So...
and, armor class -2.
Yeah, there you go. It's a pretty decent armor class.
Yeah, so it's just going to be very brutal to deal with. And then you also run into the fun thing of once it does envelop one of the party members, how do you handle that? If you start swinging your sword at it, since this is air, will it go through and possibly hurt the person it's enveloping?
Oh,
could you end up hacking to death one of your party members while trying to free the party member from this creature? I mean, it creates some interesting dilemmas for dealing with. This is where perhaps the best approach is, hey, see all these +2 magic weapons? We give them to you so you go away.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? The idea of the assassin I like. I was also thinking of this creature, if it somehow gets to the prime material plane. I'm thinking, it was summoned or like a elemental vortex wherever it comes through. I think of one way to somewhat use it in a low to mid-level environment. Maybe this thing comes to your game world, finds a tribe of goblins. It exerts its pressure. The goblins worship this thing as a god. So it's propped up as like they're worshiping this thing. So they're out protecting it. And so I could see it used that way, and that you find out what this goblin tribe is worshiping. They're the tribe of the Black Mist or something like that. That's what they go by. And so maybe their god is a Mitsu. They think it's something to worship because it's so darn powerful, and they're not exactly bright.
Right.
So
and
I can think of it using it that way.
Yeah, and it's highly intelligent as well. So all of a sudden, these goblins obeying their god would actually be pretty effective at doing lots of things.
Yeah, and exerting its power over the tribe because, if you don't follow me, I'm going to literally suck the life out of you.
Right.
So,
suck the life out of one goblin. They'll be like, "Oops, sorry.
We worship you. That would be one way. I mean, another way, I guess, would be like as a guardian.
Yeah.
Some sort of guard for a high-level mage.
Yeah. I could also see if the parties start messing with things they shouldn't be and they accidentally open a portal. And that comes through the porthole. Yeah.
That would be a great use of it, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Be like, oh, no, what did we just do?
I can also think of it, since they can make themselves somewhat ghost-like, I wonder, maybe kind of going on the premise of this thing, like being worshipped by like goblins, like or kobolds or whatever, maybe this thing will pose as something else.
Oh, take the ghostly form of a fallen like goblin chieftain of yore or something.
Yeah, there you go. Or maybe since it can manipulate objects, maybe it could like get its mist form into, say, I don't know, a suit of plate armor.
Yeah.
And it goes into the plate armor, and the visor's open, and you just see these two glowing red eyes.
Yes, it's
you're thinking something entirely else, but it's this thing in the armor, this Mitsu.
Yeah, it's like your haunted plate mail. This is what's actually haunting it.
Yes, exactly. And it will totally baffle the party. And it's like, well, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to try to turn it. Nothing.
Right.
So they're thinking undead.
Yeah.
So that's another good way of, I think, using that too. Posing as something else.
Yes. And
pretty cool.
Yeah, and then when you're in the monster manual too, though, there's another creature from the same. It's from the elemental plane of air, which makes me wonder if that para-elemental plane is a typo in the Mitsu.
That's what I was thinking too. I think they meant elemental plane of air.
Yeah, it's well, I could see it being smoke since it actually can take the physical form, or one of the para-elementals because it's kind of both. But
para-elemental plane of smoke, you have ice, ooze, and magma.
Yeah, and it's immune to cold though, so maybe ice,
maybe steam,
maybe. But yeah,
that's a quasi-elemental plane, steam.
Yeah.
So you probably wanted someplace. Well, I'm looking at the manual of the planes right here. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be from the para-elemental plane of smoke, or they accidentally threw the para in there.
Right. Either way, as written, it doesn't quite fit because there is no para-elemental plane of air.
Right.
Yeah. But there is like something that looks like maybe like a cousin of it when you look at it, because the Elidris, because it's a wind terror from the elemental plane of air. When you look at it, it's the swirling mist. It also kind of has tentacles as well. So.
Is that in the
Monster Manual 2 on page 73? It's under the elemental grue.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're talking. Oh, there you go.
Yes, because this too has the red glowing eyes and has the vaporous tentacles. So it's like if you just shifted this, then took it from a para-elemental plane and put it into a full elemental plane, you would get this. Because with this, it just whisk about, and it's basically like a mist entity. It just twirls. It has like fog. It's like a fog carrying small particles, and those particles get flung out from it, and that's how it damages you. It was such
they are almost identical. You are right.
Yeah. So but when you look at this is no air-based spells work on this at all. And any permanent effects that are in place, if it's within 50 feet of it, doesn't work either.
That's crazy.
So it's
also this thing, the Ildris or Illidris, +2 or better magical weapons to hit.
Yeah, so there's a theme here. That's why I'm thinking the Mitsu should be on the plane of air.
Right. Maybe a Mitsu would use these as like its foot soldiers.
Right, because these are only like 4-hit dice.
Low to very intelligent.
Right. So these would be like the subservient foot soldier, who are actually pretty effective at being in combat. They're not going to engulf you and suck you. They're just going to deal damage, and they're just immune to a lot. From call lightning, control wind, weather, wall of fog, cloud kill, cone of cold, invisible stalker. I can even see like a powerful wizard just capturing one of these and keeping it around just to neutralize all those spells that could be used against them.
Oh my gosh. No kidding. That's a good idea.
Yeah, just capture one of these and just use it as a dispel air magic.
All right. That would be cool.
Yeah. So again, it's a very similar creature. It's just a few steps below. It's not.
That's nuts. I've had the Monster Manual too since ever since it was first published in 82 or 83. I never put 2 and 2 together between those two creatures. It never occurred to me. But it just opened my eyes to that. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's like you can start developing like a whole ecology of these air elementals, that type of air elemental. And I wonder if we start digging through other books, if there's other similar creatures that's from the elemental plane of air, that the swirling mist, that have the tentacles that are kind of evil, causing chaos, immune to low-level magic. Yeah,
it's very cool.
Yeah, so it's definitely something that I would say most players probably haven't used in their game, but I think it's definitely worth a look.
I think so.
Yeah.
So if you've used these in your game ever, we definitely want to hear about it. Or if you just have other ideas on how to use these, because when you get into some of these elementals, it's without... we're going on to that elemental plane, it can be sometimes a little difficult to come up with new and creative ways to use them, because just getting them in the prime material is a bit of a chore. So tell us. Let us know.
And we all know how tough that is.
Yes.
No.
I mean, yeah. I have every week trying to do something there, and man, it's tough.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Guess that's going to wrap up the show for this week. Thank you to DM Lloyd for throwing us some show notes our way. And if you have any show notes, rfistaff@gmail.com, or just general questions, rfistaff@gmail.com. 570-865-4210 is the hotline. Just make sure when you call in to speak your name clearly and leave any contact information if you'd like. You don't have to, but just at least your name so we know, and make sure it's clear. Otherwise, we really can't play it if it's like... Cut off. We've had a couple voicemails. I can't figure out who it's from. And they're just like, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, good questions, too, involving some good things, but I can't figure out most of it, so.
Worse than a broken microphone at a drive-thru, huh?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. So, until next time, keep it original, keep it old school, and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Initiative podcast is a production of Wild Games Productions in association with D20Radio.com. You can visit us at RFIPodcast.com or contact us on our forums at OSRGaming.org or even by calling us at 570-865-4210. This podcast is produced for entertainment purposes only. All other uses are prohibited. And remember, if your magic missile spell doesn't automatically hit, you're playing the wrong edition. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative.